was arguably one of the best games of the Betway Premiership season so far. So both eyeing a spot in the top half. Le Mans for Golden Arrows have been as high as 5th, as low as 12th recently, but for Stellenbosch, it would be the first time that they break into the top 8 this season if they can get the victory. Let's look at how the home side line up for changes. Mafuleka, the youngster's played a lot of football recently, so Maluleka steps in for him. It's his first start since November. Mankwele, Carlson, and Msomi are all rotated out of the squad. Pilana Kumalo returns, having missed the last 3. Obeko Dlamini is back in, and Brandon Theron makes just his 3rd league appearance and his first start today. Here's Dick Modise with the formations.
Thank you very much, Grant. With all the changes that have been done, we're speaking to the coaches, they speak about the rotation of the squad, but the interesting part is Dlamini coming back, who will be the one that sits back in more in defensive role to allow possibly Cisse and Theron to fly forward.
Now this Le Mans for Golden Arrows side at home, winless in their last 3 here. They'll be hoping for slightly better fortunes as they take on the visitors who made 3 changes. Tabamolo Sani came on at half-time for Stanich in their last game against TS Galaxy. Starts ahead of him today. Omani Butsaka and Wonderboy Makubu are both dropped to the bench. Wade Juster returns against his former team, and Tikvasa Mabasa is preferred up top. He has run riot against Arrows in the past whilst in the colours of Orlando Pirates. Here's how they line up.
Yeah, with how they line up, you look at Titus just next to Mabasa. They will be the guy that will be looking forward to bear those transitional moments. But with Mtiwani in that metaphor with Jabbar, they just formed a nice partnership with understanding. With Pilo on the left-hand side, we'll be looking to carry on those players whenever they do. Arrows steadies rather when they're in possession of the ball.
So, Coach Mangoba Mniti alongside Musubela Nkulu and KG Kashwi in the Le Mans for Golden Arrows dugout. Gavin Hunt hoping to avenge last month's cup loss. In terms of the Betway Premiership, unbeaten in 6 since he took over. Oversaw his first Betway Premiership match in January, having taken the reins in December during the AFCON break. Nkolobadi will be in charge of this game, assisted by Kamahelo Ramatsindela and Elfis Sitoli. Eugene Mluli is our 4th official for today's match. So Arrows coming into this game on the back of a 2-1 win over Marumo Gallants. That was the weekend. Junior Dion continuing his great goal-scoring form. In fact, he's scored each of Arrow's last 5 league goals. It's only in the cup matches sandwiched in between those league matches that other players have managed to get themselves on the score sheet. Briefly saw Cisse in our shot moment ago. He scored a phenomenal goal against Stellenbosch in Cape Town back in October in that losing cause. They have served up 2 really dramatic games so far this season, and we wonder what is in store for us tonight at the Kings Villatini Stadium, as it is the visitors Stellenbosch. With a little bit of a false start, let's get us underway all the way back to Sage Stevens, who will knock it long. So against TS Galaxy, chasing the game, having conceded inside the first minute, that Mabasa, who does start today, was introduced not for Wonderboy Makuba, but alongside him. And of course, the dimensions and the nature of the Danny Craven pitch allowed them to play a very classic 4-4-2, which they can't implement today as Dylan Kumalo tries to make something happen. He has missed the last 3 games through injury, but he is one of the most creative outlets that Arrows have. 5 assists for him this season, level with Siandrin Ndlovu and Rele Mufokeng, in fact right at the top of the standings. This is actually a good surface, Deco. Sorry, that's the point I was trying to make, just in terms of Danny Craven could allow them to play a very classic traditional formation, which did work in chasing the game and getting the goal. But they need to field the 3 in the center to be able to handle Arrows today. Yeah,
they have to, especially in that midfield, especially also looking at it how big this pitch is. And it will require them to minimize those type of spaces that Gorin also trying to manipulate, but also for them as well, using Titus in terms of those spaces to bring those crosses early with Mabasa inside the box. They will be trying to profit from that. With Eustace as well being included, we know that he likes putting the balls inside the box a little bit sooner. So the Golden Arrows need to make sure that they don't allow those crosses to come in, but also maybe use that extra man that they have in that midfield to be able to have more creativity going forward.
I used to set out the last few, but plays today against a club where he spent 3 years. In fact, he joined Le Mans for Golden Arrows about a decade ago. That's how long he's been in the game, now in his mid-30s. As Wade Juster made just over 60 appearances for them, scoring half a dozen goals. There's Dlamini, and the young Ivorian Cisse. He'll be instrumental tonight as Pilani Kumalo is dispossessed rather smartly by Musalebusa. Good acquisition for Stellenbosch in the off-season.
Good indeed. He will add into that experience that he has within all those years that also he spent in Ajax and Mamelodi Sundowns as well. Maybe try to also have the good partnership towards the end of the season with him and Mloisane in the centre-back pairing. Also a left-sided centre-back will be able to give that balance whenever they do try to build up.
Devin Titus has let that run away from him. He was man of the match in the game that Stellenbosch won 4-3 in the mother city. Mloisane since Inyanaya scampering after that one. Double Mloisane, who quite bizarrely has missed 5 of the last 7 league matches through suspension. Red card suspension, 2 games after a red against Orbit, and then the red card in the cup against Le Mans for Golden Arrows saw him then set out the next 3 games, which were all Betway Premiership matches. Funnily enough, he's on the verge of another suspension for an accumulation of yellow cards. So if he gets another booking tonight, he will be out for the upcoming match against Chipper at home on Saturday.
I guess also just makes things difficult for Coach Kevin Hunt, because then you can't really find a good partnership, or whether to know whether the partnership between him and Lebusa will work because of all the suspensions that he has.
Yeah.
It becomes also a big concern because both teams have conceded a lot of goals in the first round of the season. So you're trying to maybe make sure that you don't do that towards the end of the season. So he becomes an important player for them defensively.
It's Wade Juster stepping in well. Now Gianni, the man who handled the ball just under a month ago here at the King Zulutini Stadium after Langelihle Pili had delivered in what looked to be a good cross, but Michael Mosimeng did not spot it. And Le Mans for Golden Arrows went on to score about 8 minutes after that through Angelo Van Roy, the only goal of the game. They were dumped out in the next round, though, a quarter-final against Durban City on penalties. And Gianni did miss a penalty in that game, so perhaps justice was served a long time afterwards. And not that Stellenbosch did not have benefited them in any case, but Lebusa looking long. There's Mabasa eventually involved and down under the challenge of Cisse, but nothing wrong with that according to Malobadi. This is Aseko Tiwani looking for options. We have 2 players featuring tonight that are inside the top 5 goal scorers, although Junior Dion at the moment miles ahead of Langelihle Pili. Pili, who for a very long time was the only Stellenbosch player who had netted in the Betway Premiership. In fact, the first time that a player other than Pili found the back of the net was against Arrows in October. That was Andre de Jong with a brace after Pili had opened the goal scoring. Gianni working it out to Kuligani Shezi. That one far too long for Tukuzani Kumalo.
And also the system that Coronados are playing, you can see they don't have out-and-out wingers, so therefore it forces, you know, Lebusa also to try and cover just behind Tiwani, and those are the type of positions that no centre-back likes to be following. And those are the creative spark that Coronados have with that fluidity going forward. So that leaves then one-on-one Moloisane and Junior Dion in that centre-back, in the centre pairing, and that's where the danger is. And I think maybe if they don't allow Coronados to make those overlapping runs just in between the centre-back pairing, with those extra midfielders there, maybe they stand a chance of, you know, minimizing the chances that Coronados are trying to create.
Now Tiwani receiving from Lebusa. Linking up with Pili, who's promptly dispossessed. Gianni, player who has played the most minutes for Le Mans for Golden Arrows this season. He started all but one of their league games. As Tiwani gets it and quickly to the centre of the park for Tiani, who's part of that preliminary squad for Bafana Bafana, the upcoming friendlies against Panama. Here's Pili. This is where he loves to operate, driving towards the byline, fizzing and across, and it's behind for a corner kick.
Yeah, he loves those 1v1 with that little bit of a step over that he always shows whenever he gets into that those type of areas. So it's about him now when he gets into those areas to be able to find Mabasa inside the box, or maybe those cutbacks that we'll see maybe Titus being the one that also benefits. So it's going to be very interesting to see then how that shares in our deal with the Pili on the left-hand side.
So it is Ibrahim Jabbar who's over to take the first corner. He's gone level today with Jaden Adams as the 4th all-time appearance maker for Stellenbosch. 159th appearance for them in all competitions as he swung it in here. Tiwani picking up the pieces, dispensing it forward once again. Here's Devon Titus. Devon Titus did score in the away match against Le Mans for Golden Arrows last season at 3-0 win. He opened the scoring. Lesiba Nku also on the score sheet, as well as Thabo Moloisane. By the way, Moloisane has just cracked the top 10 in terms of Stellenbosch's all-time appearance makers tonight. He made the lineup. Edge of the area, Jabbar, wide of the mark. Has recently gone on the score sheet, scored the winner at the end of last month against Amazulu.
Grant, I remember at some point as well where we see Stellenbosch, a lot of youngsters reaching that 100-game mark early on so quickly, because the previous coach, Steve Barker, used to use them so much, and you can understand why Jabbar has so many games. Him and Moloisane as well, they've been so important into this team. Him and
able
Titus
to,
as well.
able to rack up the games because of their participation in Africa last season, where they went deep into the competition, knocked out, unfortunately, in the group stages of the Confederation Cup this time around. The all-time appearance maker is in between the sticks for them tonight. That's Sage Stevens. Yeah. Cisse can't find a forward option, so it is with it. Daniel goes in Mabaso. He's 21 years of age, born in Pietermaritzburg. This is his 10th start in a row in all competitions. He has adapted superbly to life in top-flight football. Gian. Mabaso. There's a race on, but it's won by Kazi Nyanaya. Turns 27 next month.
You can see also the ground that he had to cover, because those lopsided wingers, they're coming in, they're forcing those full two centre backs that are steadies to come inside. So that space has been created for the fullbacks, where Golden Arrows are using them very well.
Well, Isani living a little dangerously on the edge of the area there. Might have been a slight nudge in the back of Pilani Kumalo. Did go down under the challenge.
And I doubt with the one suspension away, that will actually change how he plays. He's always going to be committed into any tackle that he gets into.
The Monfort Golden Arrows have seen their opponents get red cards in 5 of their last 6 matches in all competitions. So yeah, the one that stands out to many, of course, is the defeat to Mamelodi Sundowns, where they were playing against 10 men but still lost. But Durban City got a red card in their Nedbank Cup quarter-final, and Gallants also reduced to 10 men in their last league game. The only match in their last 6 where their opponents have not seen someone dismissed was a 0-0 draw with Chippa United. Tian. Tiani has lost out here, but the Monfort Golden Arrows can't capitalize. Junior Dion was looking to get on the move, anticipating the ball played through for the league's top goal scorer, who has scored 6 of those 12 league goals in the first half. That's more first half goals than anyone else this season. There's an opportunity to equal a fairly long-standing Le Monfort Golden Arrows scoring record. Knox Mutizwa in 2019-20 getting 13 top flight goals, so he's 1 away from equaling that.
And also maybe looking at the number of the top goal scorer last season, what 16 with Ribeiro, so he's not far off from reaching that as well.
He's only behind Ikram Reyners in terms of players with 5 or more goals. Is a fairly good sample set. The best goals per minute ratio, Junior Dion, he's averaged a goal every 112 minutes of Betway Premiership action this season. He's a player who likes to have a go. Only Glody Lepo of Kaiser Chiefs has had more shots on target than Junior Dion this season, as Maova almost gets himself into a little bit of a mess. Took over after that defeat to Mamelodi Sundowns, now playing his 3rd match in succession in the Namibian, as Cisse tries to play it into space on the left-hand side.
You can see the build-up that Golden Arrows are having from the back, just to try and lure Stelli's players to come in numbers. And you always look good whenever you be able to bypass that pressing line, but with the Stellis as well, they need to keep going and trying to win those balls in those high areas, because then you're closer to the goal, closer to scoring goals. But yet again, they do open up themselves at the back, where we've seen as well and Inyama being able to cover so much on the left-hand side where Maluleka's trying to engage.
Oh, that's really cleverly done by Jooste, who tries to squeeze it through for Mabasa rather, and gets it back rather fortuitously. Devon Titus has come back from an offside position. Titus playing his 115th Betway Premiership game tonight. Since his debut, he really had quite a good record in terms of how Stellenbosch performed with him in the team and without him. Win percentage 40% with Devon Titus in the team, 22% without him since he made his debut, the 45 matches that he's missed over that period. And they average 1.2 goals per game with Titus in the team and just 0.8 per game without him. So he's been an impactful player over the years.
And also looking at all the people that he used to play around with, they all left, but still he remains such an impactful player within the team itself.
Nowhere near reaching the kind of numbers he managed last season, though, Devon Titus, in terms of goals and assists. Incredible goal contributions for Titus as Arrows attempt to escape from the back here. 13 goal contributions last season for Titus, who's trying his best to close down here. Just 6 in the Betway Premiership this season. The single goal, but 5 assists to his name. Pilani Kumalo gets away from danger. Gianni back to Mayova. Scrape clear for Junior Dion now. Junior Dion over the years has won just once against Stellenbosch, losing 4 times, drawing twice. The solitary win that he has in games against Stellenbosch coming from Marumo Gallants in the 2021-22 season. We'd love to help Arrow to a victory against them this evening. That's a very clever leave from Cisse. Gets it back from Theron, and now has been able to locate Pilani Kumalo. It's a teasing ball in great shape on that cross, but Sage Stevens reading it well, and in the end he's actually claimed it quite comfortably. Yeah,
you can see Pilani there, exactly what he wanted to play. Just wanted to play the ball just in between Sage Stevens and attacking, which was a Dion in that regard. But they do seem to find space out and out on the wing play, because they're forcing Stellenbosch to defend in that block and to make sure that they get inside so that they can create those openings outside, but also engaging their fullbacks. Very, very difficult to defend when they are in possession of the ball.
Tiwani back to Lebusa. Moloisane. Inyanaya. Yosta collects. It's not the best clearance, but Arrows will have another chance to try and play out from the back once again. Kumalo turned in fields. Carried forward by Dlamini for Shezi now. Oh, it's a little miscommunication. And ball getting away from Shezi. So, Manglomiti, if things stay as they are, they'll go above TS Galaxy. They'll be level on points, level on goal difference as well, but they have scored more goals than the Rockets. For Stellenbosch to break into the top half this evening, they do need to win.
Because of the number of goals also that they've been scored.
Yeah, and their goal difference is quite a lot lower. Dlamini for the run. Now Pilani Kumalo. Shezi cut out by Tiwani. Laid for Pili. Now the long pass was on probably for Devon Titus there.
That's what I thought, because also Pili, he is very comfortable on his left foot. Thought he was going to just whip it for Titus, knowing that the strength of Titus to really, you know, get the balls in those type of spaces whenever they do have transition. But you can see that Stellies are falling into those traps. Also, they win the ball. They still want to play it out. Here's the foul that has been committed by Mavasa there from Gianni. But you don't want to play in Golden Arrow's hands. You need to play the way that you normally play. You know, find the spaces, use the width that they normally like to use. With Justa, they, you know, switch the ball a little bit quicker so that you can find Titus in those spaces.
Forward by Stevens. It's another really clever touch from Justa to get away from his man. Devon Titus in so much space here. Titus holds on to it for a second and was looking to set up. Perhaps Sintiani was arriving at the edge of the area. Now Pilani Kumalo trying his best to bend his run was Junior Dion, but that was clearly offside.
You could see also, we spoke about Titus not so long ago. They looking dangerous whenever he breaks it, whenever he gets the balls just behind the defensive line that Golden Arrows have. He is a dangerous player, so much speed, so much pace. But with Dion here, I think the miscommunication a little bit. Maybe he rushed to break that line a little bit sooner. where you could see Stillies were trying to play that high line, knowing that the danger of this line.
Forward by Ibusa for Tsikhafa Mabasa, who plays against Arrows for a 10th time in the top flight tonight. He has never been on the losing end against Lamont for Golden Arrows in the league, as Mtiani brings it under his spell and then promptly loses it. Tsikhafa Mabasa has scored 7 times against Arrows in the league over the years, including that hat-trick for Pirates, his first ever professional hat-trick in the 7-1 win that Arrows suffered back in 2024 at the Orlando Stadium. There's no other side that he scored more league goals against than Abafana Bastende, is level with the number he has against Chippa United over the years. Now give it away to Pili. Mabasa on his outside, finds him, it's on his left foot. Mabasa fires it towards goal. A sliding challenge from Gianni, taking all the pace off that. His reaction lets you know that he feels he's let himself down here.
Yeah, that was a good transition. The ball being played at the right time, but I guess maybe that first touch really didn't sit well the way he wanted, so he was forced now to take too many strides away from the goal that allowed Gianni to come across to maybe to be able to make that tackle, just to take the power off the ball a little bit. But that's what they need. Still is going forward. They need to engage those forwards a little bit sooner.
One for Golden Arrows, yes, to muster a shot yet in this match. We're halfway through the opening period. It was already 1 goal scored when they met in the league, the reverse fixture, the Athlone Stadium. Langalitli Pili scored about a quarter hour into that game. Sianda Ndlovu is still out injured at the moment. Made it 1-1 just before the half-time break. Sianda Ndlovu, by the way, is back in training, so he should be ready for the home game against Kakuni United on Sunday. Just precautionary to leave him out of this one, having missed the game against Gallants after an injury versus Durban City in that Cup quarter-final loss. Langalitli Pili, when he scored the opener against Lamont for Golden Arrows in the reverse, was fresh off the Under-20 World Cup, where he didn't really get as much of a look in as he would have liked, so he was raring to go.
I mean, he's having an exceptional season right now, so...
Yeah. A great young player, Langalitli Pili. The big men are assembled. And it comes, not fully away, now it is. Junior Dion getting it clear. Aseko Tiwani working it out to the right-hand flank. It's a fairly awkward one onto the roof of the net and another corner.
You heard Coach Mangoba Mngiti speaking about how dangerous Stellies are in terms of those set pieces. It's going to be very, very crucial for them to be able to defend correctly and have the right players on the right defensive structures, because you know that that in-swing is going to come. Make sure that you have the strong headers versus your strong headers, but also maybe mix it with zonal marking as well, because it's going to be very, very difficult with Libusa, Mabasa, and Muluisan inside the box.
That was a rather bizarre take from Ibrahim Jabbar. The referee calling for a Stellenbosch free kick, so they'll get another set-piece opportunity moments after wasting one.
It is a foul indeed.
Looked like he just stepped across him. And surely they'll produce something better after that most recent corner. And it goes from Jooste. Good pace on that. And missing the mark, Enyanaya.
You could see how the ball was just dipping with so much speed just in front of him, so he couldn't really generate enough power that he wanted, but you need to have more delivery, more good delivery inside the box for them to try and benefit, especially with all the big balls that they have inside there. You don't need to put too much power on it. Just left it there. I mean, look at Gianni, how short he is. You look at Mabasa, those two centre backs, how short they are. You have big balls, so you need to use the aerial strength that you have.
Wide this time from the Nigerian Kazien Yanayo, who's still waiting for his first Betway Premiership goal of the season. Continue to cut inside. Did Osborne Maluleke. Player signed at the beginning of the season from Kruger United. He'll turn 27 next month. He hasn't seen a lot of action recently, and that's because Mafuleka has been locking down that left-back spot. Spanela Pele as well, very adventurous left-back who's on the bench today. Smaloy Sane has to deal with a deep cross that again had great shape on it, and Le Montfort Golden Arrows get a set-piece opportunity.
Maybe Morisani thought he could have cleared the ball a little bit better. Maybe he didn't see the ball clearly. But those are the type of balls that we've seen. The second ball now being played in those areas where Stellies are not very convincing in terms of defending those type of balls, because Dion loves making those type of runs and makes those centre backs very uncomfortable in terms of the runs that he makes.
Pilani Kumalo on corner duty, whipped towards the near post. Mabasa gets it clear initially, then Maloy Sane, still not away. Arrows reset. Justo with the header clear. Titus. A clever ball off his head for Langelihle Pili, who's a little isolated at the moment, being pursued here by Kobeko Dlamini. Now darting away from Cisse. He's done great work, Pili, until that crucial moment where he has to try and find a teammate.
It's just important in terms of those details. Does very well to be able to move away from the marker, but that final pass there let him down.
Gianni protecting it all the way back to his goalkeeper. Cisse. Pilan Kumalo. Gianni now. Cisse cushioned back to Maeva. It's been a real fight for that #1 position over the course of the season. Obo and Banjwa.
It becomes important to have a goalkeeper that is very comfortable with his feet.
That's
you
true.
can see as to then the type of style that Golden Arrows wants to play.
Tiwani coming across. Back to Stevens. Hoists it forward with his left foot. Shazi was under that one. Now Langelihle Pili. And Gianni recovers incredibly well. It looks like Pili may just have had the beating of him for an instant.
Yeah, great recovery from the captain himself. Very reliable at the back.
Le Montfort Golden Arrows perhaps looking a little disjointed at the moment. We're not actually seeing the formation reflected on their team sheets coming to life on the park at the moment.
I think whenever they do have the ball, especially in that midfield where Cisse and Dlamini normally operates, but Cisse, I think, is playing more of the balls backwards more than trying to engage the other two, that is the Thokozani Kumalo and Pilani Kumalo, but he's playing the balls too much at the back, so therefore then he allows Stellies to regroup, and then it becomes very, very dangerous or maybe rather risky for them to play those type of balls, but they need to start playing the ball forward. That system, you will see it opening up a little bit because there are space on the sides when they do have the ball that is golden arrows.
Oh, hit the half-hour mark here without a goal just yet. Arrows matches this season actually have produced the most goals in the Betway Premiership, both for and against. They've gone past the 50-goal mark, 51. In fact, that's joint with Orbit College, although in the case of Orbit College, it's because they've conceded so many.
I guess also that's the story of our Betway Premiership this season in terms of the number of goals that teams have really been conceding.
Now played to Taron. Settle for a corner off the legs here of Tsikvasa Mabasa. Arrows are third in the division in terms of goals scored, behind only the runaway leaders Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates. Now, when this tie produced 7 goals earlier in the season, wasn't actually the first time that there's been 7 goals in this game. Now, that's a clever little flick at the near post initially by Theron. They are claiming a corner. They will get another set piece on the opposite side this time around.
This type of corners, whenever there's a small deflection or small flick in the near post, it becomes very difficult to be able to defend. But Stelli's there, they had big boys at the back table to clear that off. But with all the number of big boys that they have, that is defensively Stelli's, maybe Golden Arrows maybe trying to play a short corner with the second ball and just to try and maybe move those defenders in those type of areas for them to be able to punish.
Stellenbosch have only conceded once from a corner this season. There's Arrows, another good delivery, and that one looked like it was off the body of Lebusa. Muted claims for handball. Arrows have only scored twice from corner kicks in this campaign. Dlamini to Shezi. Gianni, one consistent member of that defense, which has really been shuffled quite frequently over the course of the season. Both fullbacks plus his centre-half partner. Here's Tiwani moving into space, finding Tsikvasa Mabasa. Mabasa lays it off for Juster, who's looped it a little aimlessly straight out of play.
Yeah, he had time there, Juster, to be able to see where to play the ball. And I don't think he had any ideas within where his attackers were, because he had so much time and space on the ball. He just clipped it there where Mabasa actually was running, because he was running towards the first post. We know also how dangerous Mabasa is with his headers.
And no foul on Junior Dion by Lebusa. Jabbar, Tiani, Inyanaya. Plenty of space here for Juster, finding Devon Titus. Inyanaya. Looped forward for Titus, who is onside. Chops back inside, laying it off, and the header from Mabasa is over. But that's what they will want. Rotate the ball, work it into space for someone to measure a pinpoint cross.
Exactly, because with Golden Arrows, because they don't have out-and-out wingers, so you still forever have that type of opportunities to bring the ball inside the box. I think this is the first cross that Mabasa get the end of it, but they need to play more good balls inside the box for that big man there to be able to find joy.
Well, he has scored in his last 4 games against Lamontville Golden Arrows in succession. He's netted 6 goals over that period. Will he continue the streak tonight? For now, though, it's Stellenbosch who look to be on the back foot as Theron plays it through a little too strongly for Tuguzani Kumalo.
It was a good idea from Theron. trying to break. I don't think they do have enough speed going forward because they are a team that really loves to play in combinations, but they saw that there was a little bit of space maybe they can possibly utilize.
Now this is where they could potentially be punished. Langlithe Pili twisting and turning, trying to find a good option, almost locates one on the edge of the area. It's been given away cheaply here from Jabbar, who can shoot from distance and does.
Spoke a little bit earlier, so then Staleys needs to continue pressing high up because you're bound to make mistakes, especially from a team that is building up. You can see that with Maova trying to clear the ball, fall nicely for Pili there. Really with the dilly-dally on the left-hand side, but there's a half chance that they created with Jabbar. They're trying to take a shot away from outside the box rather. But you need to press high. You need to win the balls a little bit high up there.
Gavin Hunt watching on first cross paths with Lamontfort Golden Arrows in the first division when he was coach of 7 Stars. They were back in '95. First top flight meeting came after the turn of the millennium with Hellenic. And Mabasa having a little bit of an issue. His last game against Lamontfort Golden Arrows came last season in Pirates' 3-0 home win, which he did get onto the score sheet, scored home and away against Arrows last season. And the Arrows fans believe that they can string together now 2 successive victories, having come off that win against Marumo Gallants. They're still unbeaten against Gallants in 8 league meetings now. They won for a 5th time. And that also means that they hit 7 wins with the victory over Gallants, which is as many as they managed over the course of the whole of last season. They've done it in 8 games fewer, though. So there's some definite improvements on their previous campaign, despite the fact that after that loss against Sundowns, they dropped as low as 12th, which is as low as they've been this season since the opening day, when they were defeated by Siwilele. That had them right down at the bottom, but they slowly built from there. Now Pili, a little bit of space to work here. Still he continues on. Tiwani. His cross repelled by Theron. Inyanaya. Justa. Titus. Tiani. Devon Titus again, scooping it towards Mabasa. Whoa. Well, he got only the slightest touch on that, but almost diverted it into the back of the net.
It was a dangerous ball for Maova to be able to see exactly what is it that is happening. I think it was a deflection from Gianni, but a great run as well from Mabasa. But Gianni making sure that he makes himself big. Nearly results into an all-goal. Maova needed to make sure that the ball goes out, but those are the type of balls that into trouble Golden Arrows with. The balls inside the box, because of also, you know, look at the stature of those 2 centre-backs, Mabasa and Gianni.
Haven't won a home match in the league since November. 4-0 win over Gallants that immediately followed their league loss to Stellenbosch. The cup game squeezed in between that, though, as Justa plays it in, but referee has noticed a little bit of an infringement here. It was a rather bizarre set of results following that 4-3 victory for Stellenbosch when these 2 sides met earlier in the season, because the Montfort Golden Arrows, after a cup victory, a Carling knockout victory against TS Galaxy, as we get another look at what happened, went on to beat Marumo Gallants 4-0, the same Marumo Gallants that then defeated Stellenbosch 4-0 in the Carling knockout quarterfinal. Stellenbosch were coming off a Confederation Cup game in which they'd also scored 4 goals. Maova doesn't make the cleanest contact and is almost punished. It really should have been doing a little bit better in that instance, Pili.
But also maybe this so maybe proves a little bit as to then how uncomfortable Golden Arrows are in terms of the set pieces. Moreover, they could have just punched the ball out, because look at the number of players just in front of him that made him uncomfortable to be able to grab that ball. But the period they could have done a little bit better, at least try to force a save.
Well, there's certainly a reason for the anxiety every time they have to face a corner kick. They have conceded the most headed goals in the league this season. That's 7. Conceded 2 headers in the Betway Premiership, which is an awful lot.
It also makes sense because you can see sometimes it's within the stature of the players as well, but not because sometimes we believe that as a centre backs you need to be a good header of the ball. Not many centre backs are good headers of the ball, but you can see how comfortable they are. That is Golden Arrows on the fit with Mabasa and Gianni.
They've given away a very cheap throw-in, quite an advanced area here. I wonder if Stellenbosch will set up for the long throw or just try and restart quickly. They are a side that love to utilize this as a weapon. I'm surprised that Moloi Sane hasn't taken the opportunity here to toss this in long. They have a few long throw specialists, but he's probably their best. Tiwani, not bad either. Now with Moloi Sane. Felt the pressure perhaps of Pilani Kumalo. That has not pleased Gavin Hunt at all.
Yeah, that's just another cheap way of giving position away. I think they could have done better there with to just position themselves properly and just rotate the ball. There's no need there for them to lose that position to give it away to a team that is playing so well. Very difficult for them to dispose the ball from them.
Tugadani Kumalo. He's waiting to get back on the score sheet since that loss against Orlando Pirates towards the beginning of November. 3-1 defeats they suffered there. They scored in successive matches, having also netted a brace against Marumo Gallants in the 4-0 victory. Stellenbosch get another free kick, similar position from a little earlier on.
This might be another tool, another weapon that they can use to try and break that wall that Golden Arrows have, especially from the right-hand side. Of really won so many free kicks on the right-hand side. They need to bring the balls nicely there inside the box. Where we know that he does have good delivery, but we've also seen as well Jabbar being the one also getting closer to it. So they will send those big boys up front. They need to benefit from those type of set pieces they've been creating.
Well, they've been alternating, but from the similar position earlier on, it was Juster after Jabbar left it. So will they opt for something a little different here? And it comes from Juster once again. The header clear was a crucial one. Tshegafatso Mabasa was waiting unmarked. Stellenbosch have usually been very susceptible to goals in this quarter-hour period just before the break. From the half-hour mark onwards, they have shipped 10 goals, which is the most during that particular period, and 24% of their total goals that they've conceded. But with that said, Lamontfort Golden Arrows have not been very effective at scoring during this same period. And Stellenbosch have not really had much difficulty in keeping them at bay right now. Not frequent scorers in the first half are Stellenbosch. They get more of theirs in the second, and Arrows incidentally concede a lot more in the second half than they do in the first. 15 of the 25 goals they've conceded have come in that second period. It's been a tightly contested game so far. Mangomamiti has not been able to lead his Arrows side to a win on a Wednesday in their last 3 Betway Premiership games played midweek. Lost all 3. In fact, the 4-3 win for Stellenbosch earlier this season against Arrows was contested on a Wednesday at the Athlone Stadium. One of just 2 wins they've had on a Wednesday this season. This is the 10th time they're playing right in the middle of the week, as over the years have come in the second period. 5 of the last 7 that they've matched at hand. Didn't spot Siandon Lobo, by the way, who might have been a catalyst today, and definitely was outstanding in the reverse. But here's what they're doing to try and rectify things. Both Kumalos make way alongside Brandon Theron. And we see the introduction here of Sabelo Sitole, Tlatlagasa, and Spondisa Maronsela. Sitole in particular has been very good off the bench this season. So waiting to get us back underway. There's our match referee, Paula Bari. And Arrows restart us. Stellies remaining unchanged from their starting 11. Coming up against a side that they've had really good fortune against over the years. This is their 14th league meeting. Stellenbosch have claimed 6 wins. Only against Cape Town City and TS Galaxy since their promotion have they actually won more often than they have against Lamontville Golden Arrows in the top flight. Bizarrely, though, considering that they have had such a good record over them, there have been many seasons where they've gone unbeaten against Arrows, but they have never done a league double over Abafana Pestende. So tonight presents that opportunity, but for now, a stoppage in play with Moloi Sane down. Let me just briefly get the thoughts of Teko Modise. Heard him at half-time, but these 2 sides, we've already seen the changes from Arrows, so they're giving us a little bit of a hint of what they need to do in order to get something from this game, or perhaps do a little better in the second half after not managing a single shot in the first half. And then your perspective on Stellenbosch, who've had more chances but have not been clinical.
Yeah, with Stellenbosch, I think it's a matter of them being not clinical with those the half chances that they get. That they got, rather, you know, with the build-up that the Golden Arrows were tried at the back. They stole those balls, but they didn't decide. They didn't have the right decisions when it comes to, you know, bringing those crosses and making the right decisions in front of the goals. But for Golden Arrows, they should be very disappointed with all the position that they had, especially in the midfield where they dominated with extra numbers. They never really engaged Dion up front. Maybe that's why the substitution had been made, you know, breaking off that line, having those, you know, third man run just to break that defensive line that Stellies has. They didn't do much in the first half.
And they have had that edge in possession, but as you rightfully point out, not been able to utilize it. In the 4-3 loss they suffered in the first meeting of the season, they had 60% of the possession and still went on to lose that match.
And also comes back to what we spoke about, me and Sia, with the midfield that Golden Arrows have with Cisse and Lamine. Saw Cisse too much, especially the first half, playing the ball backwards, sideways, not really affecting any midfielders that maybe, you know, Stellies would be able to deploy, but they need to really get those forward passes going.
So you did see they were just reporting for you in the bottom left-hand corner when Stellenbosch are more likely to score, and it is in this period after the break. Have the most goals, it's half a dozen in the 15 minutes that come directly after the half-time interval, along with Durban City. So they've been very prolific during this period. They've scored 38% of their total goals in this quarter-hour period, as Inyanaya goes into the referee's book for his foul on Gasa. For Golden Arrows directly after the break have shipped a fair few. 4 of the goals they've conceded have come in the 15 minutes after the break. There could be a real opportunity here for Stellenbosch if they can make a strong start. For now, though, Arrows holding on to the ball as they did for spells during that first period. No side has drawn fewer times than Arrows this season. They've only been involved in 3 Betway Premiership stalemates across their 20 games played, and only once in a 0-0 draw. That was the most recent draw. It was against Chipper United at the end of February. They come away with the ball here. Sithole. Now this is what he was brought on to do. He does carry the ball really well.
You need to have the such a player. If there's no pass that is available, no run available, you need somebody to be able to carry the ball. And this man here will bring that little bit of a spark that they really, really need. You can see the space in between. Of course, Dion also found himself in an offside position. That's why Sithole couldn't release that ball.
Maloisani treading that yellow card tightrope. Quick turnaround time. Saturday game at home against Chipper United. Chipper United side who, like Stellenbosch, have been steadily improving and got themselves out of any immediate relegation danger. It's quite a tasty fixture. Chipper, though, whilst they are 6 points clear of the automatic relegation place, only 2 points above Orbit, who are in 15th. So it'll be a little more urgent for them to find the victory than it will be for Stellenbosch, who will have home comforts. Chipper gone off the boil just a little bit winless in their last 3 after stringing together a few victories in succession. But Stellenbosch will view that as a very winnable match. Now Mayova to the skipper Gianni. They bypass the initial press here. Work to Malulek. Laroncel. Nicely sent through, and not the most convincing clearance there. Edge of the area, urged to shoot was Dlamini, and the crowd are let down as that ends up in the clutches of Sage Stevens. They know Kobek Dlamini's ability from outside of the area. He's scored some scorches over the years since his arrival at Lamontville Golden Arrows, and there was a real sense of disappointment as he laid the ball off.
Yeah, it was. You can hear the crowd also disappointed in that regard, but it fell on his right foot. We know that he's a very good, strong left footer.
Yeah.
So he opted for another option instead of taking a risk of, you know, maybe being in the wrong position and maybe receiving the ball in his weaker foot.
Stellenbosch come into this game having won the 3rd most points in 2026, unsurprisingly behind only Sundowns and Orlando Pirates. They're one of 3 teams, along with Siulele and Sundowns, who are yet to lose a league match in 2026, although they have gone down in the Confederation Cup as well as the Nedbank Cup in the new year. Also, perhaps worth pointing out their away record of late. Stellenbosch unbeaten in their last 4 away games in the Betway Premiership, and they've won 3 of those, having gone winless in their opening 5 away games. And there are only 4 sides who have picked up more away points than Stellenbosch this season, and considering how poorly they started, they've been picking up away points with some frequency. They have a chance to go 5 away games without defeat in the league for the first time since a period spanning September to December of 2024.
And also, glad to look at also the points that they've accumulated lately within those 6 games. Playing away, you're winning against Kaizer Chiefs, you're winning against Skukuni. So those are impressive. You're winning against your Galaxy. Those are teams that are actually, you know, above you. So you're trying to get into the top 8 spot, and they should look at this one as well as a game that possibly they can also get maximum points just to get into the top 8 bracket where they need.
Well, they managed to survive the first half, having come into this game conceding 16 first-half goals, by far the most in the Betway Premiership. But that is 76% of all the goals that they've conceded this season. So they usually do a much better job of shutting the back door in the second period. Will that be the case again this evening? They need to get themselves onto the ball with a little more frequency, which has not really been the case up to this point. And Swede Juster has played a poor one to try and find Devin Titus. He's very quick to close down Mo over here. Gianni gets it out of his feet, work to Kulangani Shezi. He's got plenty of space to operate in now. Given away cheaply, but back with Gianni. Now Cisse. Scorer of a delightful long-range goal against Stellenbosch in the reverse.
You can see how Golden Arrows are finding themselves easy to bypass the pressing line, because Stellenbosch are pressing with enough numbers when Gianni is on the ball, whenever Golden Arrows is trying to build from the back. So it's either they need to decide whether they press high or they stay low and allow Golden Arrows possibly to come to them to create the type of spaces. But yet again, when they do have the ball, you need to have the right passes to Titus. You could see also earlier on where Juster didn't have enough power behind to get Titus onto those spaces that he really, really enjoys.
Arrows have had 3/4 of the possession over the last 5 minutes. Not really been able to do all too much with it. Cisse. Namaron Sela skipping away from Tiani. Oh, some rather unorthodox defending from Moloisane, but he's been able to dispossess Gasa.
I thought Gasa there, once he got the urge of Moloisane, could have played the ball inside the box where Dion was. Maybe he saw that maybe there's enough space, but the problem was he brought the ball on his right foot. That's where covering was for Moloisane. He had to really, really cover well. Here, in this space here, I think he had an opportunity to bring the ball, but once you bring it on the right-hand side where the defender is, it's always going to be very difficult for you to get the ball back, because you can see Moloisane using his strength just to win that ball back.
Gasa needing a quick patch-up job after that tangle with Moloisane. The red card that he received in the Nedbank Cup last 16, a loss against Lamont for Golden Arrows, meant that because it was his second red in domestic football, he had to sit out 3 matches. Was available again and was on the bench for the last outing against TS Galaxy, then did come on at half-time. Stellenbosch for the second time since their promotion, conceding in under a minute, 44 seconds. Junior Zindoga got us off on the score sheet. Also back in February, Tata Motlame, February of last year, scoring for Richards Bay in under a minute. It's the only other instance where that has happened to Stellenbosch since their promotion. Thumped forward by Stevens. Not the cleanest collection by Tshivasa Mabasa, and Sitole taking it away. Moloisane wins it. Now Devin Titus for Pili. It's a tame effort from Langelihle Pili.
I can see this, just trying to create something with those 3, Titus, Mabasa and Pili, because they're spending so much time doing the defensive duties there, but they need to really, really create chances. They need to be a little more patient when they get into the type of areas. And with Pili as well, that is very good in one-on-one. You need to thrive on those type of situations to create goal-scoring opportunities for his teammates.
Ball in behind for Sitole. Dion availing himself. Oh! And the cross finding mud on Sela. Just scooped it over.
That's it. That's a good chance there. Breaking that line. Spoke about it earlier. They didn't do enough in the first half, but Yema Donsela could have done a little bit better. Just maybe didn't have the right connection that he wanted to trouble Stevens.
About to hit the hour mark here. Gianni working it to Shezi. Oh, that's got away from him. And Gus has had the most recent opportunity and could have had another had he latched onto that.
He's been very impactful ever since he came on. That is Gassa finding that line, that high line that Steady said deploying. Good ball also been played by Gianni over the line, but Gassa was let down by his touch there.
Just a fourth appearance of the season. Oh yeah, young Gassa. Turned 20 at the beginning of this year. Another one for the future in this Arrows conveyor belt. It just year on year seem to introduce 2 or 3 new real talents to the Betway Premiership pool of players. Not Lamini. Gassa. Cisse. Lamini. Over the top from Maluleke, but easily dealt with by Stellenbosch. And with Ibrahim Jabba down, a halt called to play.
He was trying to challenge there. Was trying to challenge Gassa there. Maybe it's one of those situations where it's maybe a dead leg. You know how painful they can be at times.
Here's our Betway winner. Gets 20,000 rand, courtesy of Spunise and win Mr. Uzbanzi Hlangulela. I think he came to the stadium with a few more balloons in tow than he has now. They've been routinely popping. And he's an active Betway account holder, so his winnings doubled from 10k to 20k. Jabbar will be hoping that this is not the end of his night. A night where, as we mentioned in the first half, he joins Jaden Adams as 4th place on Stellenbosch's all-time appearance list. And Ngolomiti continues to try and plot Stellenbosch's downfall up against Gavin Hunt, who is facing Arrows in the top flight for a 46th time this evening. Has a pretty decent record against them, 21 wins, 12 draws, 12 defeats. But with that said, Gavin Hunt has failed to win any of his last 4 matches against Arrows, 3 draws and a defeat. As we take a brief look at who's available for Stellenbosch, do have some good midfielders on the bench. As Sage Stevens has to come to the rescue, venturing out of his box to make that challenge.
And see with there's a little bit of agency from Golden Arrows in the second half, playing with emphasis of going forward, trying to get those numbers going forward. But there, Sage Stevens coming out as a sweeper keeper.
Now Devin Titus. It's a delightful ball for Peely. It's pushed him a little wide, but the visitors remain in possession. Gianni back to Peely. He's played in a low ball, but none of his teammates can get on the end of it. Junior Dion is taken down in Yanaya. Stellenbosch operating a man light at the moment, so they need to get that replacement on as promptly as they can. Pili skips away from his man. Still Angelisi Pili. And he continues on. No, he spilled it initially, did Mayover, but then regathers.
You can see how tricky it is to defend against Pili. He's
Yeah.
such a skillful player. Always in tight situations, always finds a solution just to make sure that he brings the ball inside the box. Unfortunately, they couldn't find any of his teammates inside.
Angelisi Pili, of players who've scored 5 in the league this season, at least 5, has the highest conversion rate, shot conversion rate, sits at coming into this game at about 37% of all the shots he takes results in goals, as Ibrahim Jabbar is already off the field, makes way for Janino Palace, and Wonderboy Makubu is on for Sikhavasa Mabasa. And at Donny Craven, they could play the two alongside them, but alongside one another, but now Makubu coming on for a striker in a very similar mold.
Also what Makubu brings as well, a little bit of aggression, a little bit of, chasing down the defenders as well. This presence, his physique is going to be very, very important, and to still is trying to get into the score sheet.
There's Libusa. Titus. Almost fell kindly for Tiani, but it's now Gasa spinning away from him. Junior Deer doing his best to stay on side. A free kick for the hosts. Well, they opted not to make a triple change. They've utilized now 2 substitute opportunities in quick succession for Tapelo Mokobodi to come on for Wade Juster. Stevens stumped that straight out of play. Now Devon Titus looking for it. Oh. He's come so close. He's lifted the ball onto the roof of the net here.
Very clever thinking there from Titus to realize that Mayover's not on his goal line. Look at the quick glance. Good technique as well. It's unfortunate they didn't drop as early as he wanted to.
Well, we've seen some really long-range goals at this ground this season. The one for Golden Arrows losing in the Carling knockout to Marumo Gallants. Sikelo Sitole scoring from a fairly similar distance in that match. Madonsela has remained down after making that challenge. Play introduced at half-time.
Another ball again being flat again from that challenge as well. You can see how aggressive Matiani became there. Maybe the side foot, the side of the boot as well caught him there. That's why he's still down.
Two coaches who know each other very well. It'll be good to see their teams battling all the way to the finish line. You would imagine that they will remain within close proximity of one another going down the final stretch. We are into the last third of this Betway Premiership campaign for most teams. Madonsela back up. Stellenbosch still looking to come alive in this second half, where they characteristically do their better work. 11 of their 16 goals in the second period. Not the most accurate pass. Junior Dion hasn't had all too much joy up front, and perhaps that's because we're talking about him. Thabo Moloi-Sane is in the same shot as him. He's never out of touching distance with Junior Dion this evening.
Also, Junior Dion as well as Thabo, those strikers that they can go quiet all of a sudden. They find themselves in a goal-scoring position and they punish because it doesn't get involved much in terms of the build-up. And he just wants to make sure that he finds himself in right areas whenever the ball comes to him inside the box.
Pili floats it in towards Titus, too much on it. 20 regulation minutes remaining here in Mlazi. Titus coming so close moments ago with that lovely effort from range. Stellenbosch actually the only side in the Betway Premiership who are yet to score a goal from outside the 18-yard area this season, as Sitole looks for an option. Now let this run for a corner. So can they improve on the 2 corners that they've scored from this season? Not often that you see a centre half taking it, but it will be young Mabaso. Goes by the nickname Beast. That's a fairly fierce take. That's another wasted opportunity, this time Dlamini.
Yeah, good in-swinger with enough power there. This man unable to redirect it towards goal. But I'm sure there was a lack of communication between him and Dion, because Dion was just behind him, looking possibly to be the one that is at the end of that corner from Golden Arrows.
Well, their primary creator of chances is the man who's not present this evening for Le Montfort Golden Arrows, that being Sianda Ndlovu. Only Rele Mofokeng has created more chances than him in the Betway Premiership this season, as Langalihle Pili now grabs hold of it. Janino Palace recovers. Still looking for that route forward. Pili. He's been incredibly industrious. You cannot fault him for the effort that he's put in, the number of players that he's beaten, but the end product hasn't always been there for him this evening.
One of those struggles that he has today, being able to beat 1v1, but just that end product, the decision making, the final pass where it matters most, that's what has been lacking in his game today.
Mugabari turns it infield for fellow substitute Janino Palace, who's promptly given it away here to Cisse. And then Mugabari comes careening into Madonsela from behind. Ayanda Gianni has had the most touches of any player this evening. And made the most passes as well. Almost 95% pass accuracy for Gianni. Has put the mockers on him, and he misplaces that one. That was more searching ball than anything. Sithole has certainly been lively since his introduction. So making the last two available changes here are Lamontville Golden Arrows with Shezi and Dion making way. And up front will come Nguse. Big presence. Something to trouble that Stellenbosch backline. Bungani Pele on alongside him. It's the third appearance of the season for Pele. Tiani is the latest player to go into the book. He joins in Yanaya.
Yeah, you spoke about this, man, ever since Kasa being brought on. It's been very industrious. That is the taller rather, that is being very, very good carrying the ball forward, being able to, you know, drive the team forward, but just also with him as well, just like Pili, maybe that final pass as well let him down. Sometimes the ball gets stuck in both of his feet, but also he's drawn so many fouls ever since he came on.
Oh, he's hit it a bit short. Devin Titus with the setup, taken off the toes of Wonderboy Makubu. Wow. Well, probably the most critical touch of defensive touch of the match so far.
Yeah. From that man Cisse being able to come back and intercept that ball that had been played to Makubu, who was waiting for it after Devin Titus. There was just Maova trying to play the ball across, and there can see Makubu's waiting for the ball, Cisse being able to recover. We spoke about Golden Arrows building from the back. A couple of times they got caught, but he just did. Golden Arrows, I mean, Stellenbosch haven't been able to punish, but that man, that interception at Cisse was very brilliant.
Brilliant. He's just idling outside the box while there's no danger on. Then his goalkeeper gives it away as Pili drills it towards goals. Again, it's another tame shot from Pili. In all honesty, as Cisse is dispossessed. Knocked forward for Juninho Palace. Almost gets the touch necessary to free Pili. Still can't stop thinking about how critical that was from Cisse. Just the way that he assessed the situation. Sage Stevens now gives it away. Will he be punished? He will! But in a game like this, it's all about moments, and Arrows capitalize on theirs. Maronsela makes the most of the mishap. What a huge moment for the youngster.
A huge moment indeed. Sage Stevens, who was very, very disappointed with himself there because he had an opportunity to clear the ball. We've seen him a couple of times in this game where he comes out as a sweeper keeper, be able to clear those type of balls. But there was able to control. There was pressure on him, and it fell to this man, Gassa here, be able to also to play the ball in.
Gassa, yeah, my apologies.
Yeah, here's how it is. Here it is. That extra touch that it took, I don't think he was aware of the pressure that was going to come through. But Gassa they didn't waste so much time, but we've seen Stevens coming out, being able to clear the ball. Could have cleared the ball very easily for him. Good pressure from Golden Arrows. Good goal as well from Gassa. Presence of mind and being able to think a little bit quicker to be able to punish Stellenbosch.
Well, he still had to get it right. Yes, it was into an open net, but the 20-year-old has his goal. The first for Lamontville Golden Arrows. He's been starting to get a real look in of late in 2026. Been trusted a little more, with more game time. And with under a quarter hour to play, he has Arrows in front. Can they hit back? Makubu. Pili. And Makubu has sent the ball backwards. Palace! Instant reply! Struck an opponent on the way through. But Stellenbosch's retort comes within moments of going down.
Moments indeed. Pili again being the one that is instrumental. We thought that was a bad header there from Makubu. But look at how it falls nicely there for Palace as well. It had to go through everybody there with the deflection. However, they couldn't do anything with it because there were so many bodies in front of him. But good response from Stellis after conceding such. We spoke about Pili not able to make right decisions when it comes inside the box. But he had that ball there where Makubu trying to improvise, but it fell for this man.
So the base of Keanu Cupido introduced for the 10 or so minutes that remain. He comes on for hard-working Langelihle Pili. We're in for quite some finish here. Olaisani taking care of the danger. This is Maron Sela. Tiani lets it get away from him. Cisse now. Malulek. Cisse again. Gianni. Now, there have been 5 draws previously between these two sides. We're level for most of the game. Arrows ahead for a matter of minutes.
I'm sure with that, Grant, I'm sure Coach Mangoba would be very disappointed, especially knowing that you made those type of changes just to try and impact the game positively. You are in the lead with your substitution, Gasade. But yet again, you're conceding just moments after scoring that goal. Should be very disappointed, but I'm sure Kevin Hunt will be delighted maybe with a spring, a little bit of a spring, maybe with all this inclusion as well of Cupido inside the pitch to try and get the winner there.
Stellenbosch have won 7 points from losing positions this season, which is the second most in the Betway Premiership. So, do you have a precedent for coming back as this ball's almost given to Cupido? Coach once more in these closing stages. Tele, Mayova. Second from Maluleke to find Cisse, dragged down by Wonderboy Makubu. As a card flashed in his direction. Ball given away, Stellis now with Makubu. Palace. A strong challenge from Gianni. Stellenbosch have it again. Gianni. Palace. Makubo on the flank. Not where they will want him right now. This is Libusa. A poor ball from Moloi Sane. Can he put an end to this fairly lengthy winless run against Le Mans for Golden Arrows? Last time he led a side to a victory against Abafana Bistende in the league was with Supersport United 2022-23 season. There's a 2-1 win at home. Had that very strange match with Le Mans for Golden Arrows last season that was called off after the lights went out in Attridgeville. That had to be played basically beyond the conclusion of the regular campaign, although he was no longer in charge at that point. Stellenbosch have scored 4 goals in the final 15 minutes of matches this season. Le Mans for Golden Arrows 6. Stellenbosch have only conceded once from 75 minutes onwards in the Betway Premiership this season. Titus waiting for Cupido. Cupido! And Titus is looking for the follow-up, but Bongani Mele there first.
Yeah, I could see Cupido knew exactly what it is that he wanted to do, just to bring the ball in a stronger foot. I don't think he got the enough power that he wanted. Even the height as well was easy for Mahova to be able to make a save. Good break again from the Stellies, where Cupido got involved, and Titus as well.
Moloi Sane floats it out to the flank where Devin Titus has received, but he's offside. Gavin Hunt calling for Devin Titus to get back. Now they've regained possession. Have Stellenbosch. Remember, only a win will take them into the top half as Danny lets fly from range.
You can see how disappointed he is. I think Mtiano, with his talent, with his quality as well, I think Cupido was on earlier on after he intercepted the ball. Could have made a better decision than Mtiano.
Really. I'm back with arrows. Again headed away. Stumped by Libusa. And Anaya slowly getting back up to his feet. Sage Stevens be reliving this moment.
So he was very disappointed with his experience as well. You can see the pressure there. I think Guse there making sure that Stevens doesn't get the clearance that he wanted. But you rightfully said, Gaza still had a lot to do. As much as it was an empty net, he had to have the right connection, right technique to be able to use to get into the score sheet.
Nguse had just come onto the field, so he was full of running, very willing to close down the goalkeeper as Devon Titus keeps this in play, but it actually is a throw-in for Arrows.
I guess from a team that really builds from the back, that is Golden Arrows, at some point, yes, we'll get caught, but you know, those some coaches will tell you that's the school fees that you actually pay, but whenever they do bypass the pressing line, they look so good. And I think with all the half chances that Stellies have had, maybe just the decision making there when it comes to them in terms of maybe being clinical and making the right choices or the right pass to the right person, then maybe they could have maybe, you know, the scoreline maybe could have been different right now, maybe going home with maximum points.
But as things stand, it will be 5 away matches in succession without defeat. First time managing that in a year and a half in the league. Gianni. Nicely nodded down for Maronsela. Into space for Nguse. Sisa. Tried to move it on swiftly, but was inaccurate. Malulek. Hele. Into 4 additional minutes. Plenty of time for one of these sides to win it. Arrows haven't scored an injury time goal since the beginning of November at their 4-0 victory over Marumo Gallants. A few glum faces, perhaps expecting a little more from the hosts today. Opportunity materializing on the edge of the area, but Stellenbosch able to crack it clear. Hele, back to Mayova. Cisse. Here's Gassa. Dispossessed by Mokomori. And the foul. Sitoli, the perpetrator. 2 minutes of injury time remain.
I could see he was trying to steal the ball. There's Tolin. Always very difficult, those ones to call, because you're always being encouraged as a footballer to use your body to be able to block the ball, to win the ball. But there's Tolin was found there, was really blown for a foul there, but this man as well trying to play out in that pressure line where nearly the ball got stolen. In dying stage like this, you want to play the ball forward, maybe just play from the second ball and initiate from there and try and create opportunities from there.
Nguse coming back from an offside position. Back in play with Moloi Sane. Stevens. Maronsela. He's got himself away from Tiwani. Still Maronsela, he's done well to recover. Malulek continues on, does the fullback, squeezing it through for Nguse. He was offside in any case.
Well, that was a good run there from Malulek, finding space, be able to dribble through. Unfortunately there with Nguse finding himself in an offside position. But there you can see how tight it was. Yeah, very tight, but also it was so far from him because the ball was too strong. But those are the type of runs that we haven't seen Malulek doing much, but he helps the team in terms of build-up. He helps the team going forward in terms of numbers. Very comfortable on the ball.
Now they have to settle for a share of the spoils here at the Kings Willetini Stadium. Lamont for Golden Arrows taking the lead after a mistake from Sage.